When someone develops feelings for you, their behavior changes long before their words do. Most people spend weeks or even months wondering where they stand, constantly replaying conversations, analyzing text messages, and guessing whether a connection is mutual. But human behavior follows predictable patterns. Before anyone ever admits how they feel, their subconscious actions create a clear trail of evidence. Learning how to read that trail changes everything. It allows you to move with quiet clarity, saving yourself from the anxiety of guessing and the risk of taking an unnecessary leap. Think about how most interactions unfold. Someone smiles, makes brief eye contact, or asks how your day was. On the surface, it looks like simple, polite conversation. But politeness is a script that people follow out of habit. Real attraction, on the other hand, breaks that script. It shows up in tiny, involuntary shifts in attention, timing, and effort. When someone likes you, their brain prioritizes your presence, and that internal priority always leaks out into physical behavior. More than 500 years ago, Niccolo Machiavelli observed a core truth about human nature when he noted that people generally judge more by their eyes than by their hands, because everyone can see, but very few can truly verify what is beneath the surface. He was describing a fundamental gap between what people present on the outside and what is actually driving their choices. When applied to modern attraction, this principle explains why surface-friendly gestures can easily fool you. A warm smile or a polite compliment costs nothing. To see what is real, you have to look past the performance and observe how much effort someone naturally invests when they think no one is keeping score. The first major signal to watch for is the redistribution of attention. Attention is a person's most limited resource. In any group setting, whether it is a crowded office, a dinner table with friends, or a busy classroom, watch where someone's focus goes during moments of collective emotion. When a group laughs at a joke or reacts to something unexpected, a person's eyes will almost always dart toward the individual they care about most before looking anywhere else. This happens in a fraction of a second, completely below conscious awareness. Their brain is seeking a shared reaction, unconsciously asking, "Did they find that funny too? Did they see what I saw?" Take a simple example in everyday life. Imagine a group meeting at work where a manager makes a light-hearted joke. Everyone laughs, but one specific coworker instinctively looks straight at you before glancing around the table. That brief, half-second gaze is not an accident. It is an immediate, automatic attempt to synchronize their emotional experience with yours. Politeness never triggers that reaction. Personal focus does. Another clear indicator is micro-investments in time. Someone who is simply being friendly will engage warmly when you cross paths, but they will let the interaction end naturally as soon as the immediate context expires. Someone who feels an underlying attraction will look for ways to extend the moment. They might ask a follow-up question that is completely unnecessary for the conversation, offer to walk in your direction even if it is out of their way, or suddenly discover a shared interest in a topic they previously paid no attention to. They are actively manufacturing reasons to remain in your physical or digital orbit. Pay attention to how they handle transitions in conversation. If you mention that you are grabbing a coffee, a polite acquaintance might say, "Enjoy your break." Someone with a hidden interest is far more likely to respond with, "Mind if I walk with you?" Or, "Where are you going? I was just about to get one too." The difference is subtle, but the underlying motivation is entirely different. One person is acknowledging your plan. The other is bending their timeline to match yours. Observing these patterns requires you to step back and become a neutral observer. When you are caught up in your own hopes or nerves, it is easy to mistake basic courtesy for romantic interest, or to miss obvious signals because you are overthinking. The key is to stop listening to what people say and start tracking what they consistently do when given the choice to move toward you or walk away. Real interest always chooses proximity. When you want to understand how someone truly feels, the most reliable evidence comes from watching how they handle space and initiative. Anyone can be charming for 3 minutes in a hallway, but real attraction creates a noticeable imbalance in how a person manages their personal distance and their time. They do not just tolerate your presence, they actively alter their environment to get closer to you. Consider how personal space functions in daily life. Most people maintain a comfortable buffer around themselves, especially in professional or casual settings. They stand a certain distance away, keep their body angled toward the room, and leave clear exit paths. But when a subtle romantic interest enters the picture, those invisible boundaries shift. Watch their physical orientation during a conversation. Do they lean in slightly when you speak? Do they turn their shoulders fully toward you, even in a crowded room where other distractions are pulling for their focus? When someone is drawn to you, their body language narrows its focus until you become the center of their immediate environment. A clear real-life situation illustrates this dynamic well. Imagine you are sitting at a crowded coffee shop or a large conference table with several colleagues. There are plenty of open chairs scattered throughout the space. If someone consistently chooses the seat directly next to you or directly across from you week after week, that is rarely a random coin flip. They are voluntarily choosing to place themselves within your immediate field of vision. When people have options, they naturally position themselves near the individuals who make them feel comfortable, curious, or excited. Beyond physical space, notice how they respond when you pull back your own initiative. This is one of the most effective ways to distinguish between genuine attraction and passive friendliness. Passive friendliness is reactive. If you start a conversation, a polite person will respond with warmth and kindness. They will answer your questions, laugh at your jokes, and be completely pleasant. But if you stop starting the conversations, the interaction completely stops. The line goes dead. Real interest, however, is proactive. It cannot survive long periods of total silence without trying to bridge the gap. If you notice that you are always the one reaching out, sending the first message, or suggesting a plan, take a step back for a few days. Observe what happens when you create a small silence. If they like you, that sudden absence of contact creates a subtle tension in their mind. They will eventually look for a simple excuse to re-establish connection, sending a quick link to a video, asking an unnecessary question about a project, or simply asking how your weekend was. They are testing the line to make sure you are still accessible. It is equally crucial to watch how they handle your personal details. A casual acquaintance remembers broad facts about your life, your job title, where you live, or what kind of car you drive. But someone who is privately interested in you pays attention to the small, seemingly insignificant details you drop casually into conversation. They remember the name of your childhood pet, the specific drink you order, or a minor comment you made 3 weeks ago about an upcoming test or meeting. When someone remembers details that carry no practical value to them, it proves that their brain processed your words with heightened emotional weight. They were not just listening to pass the time. They were storing information about you because you matter to them. Track these subtle shifts over time rather than relying on a single moment. One polite gesture or one shared laugh means very little on its own. But when you notice a steady pattern, where someone consistently leans toward you, remembers minor details, adjusts their schedule to match yours, and reaches out when you step back, the picture becomes clear. You no longer have to guess. The evidence is already right in front of you. Once you begin recognizing these behavioral patterns, the final piece of the puzzle is understanding how a person responds to vulnerability and mutual effort. Politeness maintains smooth, predictable boundaries, while attraction actively looks for ways to cross them. When someone is genuinely interested in you, they do not just allow you into their life, they continuously invite you into their internal world. Notice the nature of the topics they bring to the table. In ordinary interactions, people stick to neutral, low-risk subjects: the weather, work assignments, current events, or general news. These subjects are safe because they reveal very little personal risk. But when attraction develops, a person naturally shifts the conversation from external facts to internal perspectives. They begin sharing their opinions, their past experiences, their personal goals, and even small frustrations. By doing so, they are testing your reaction to see if you offer comfort, agreement, or a shared understanding. This dynamic becomes obvious when you look at how people handle personal micro-disclosures. Imagine a situation where two coworkers are taking a short walk back to their desks after a meeting. A polite coworker will make casual conversation about the upcoming deadline, keeping the focus entirely on work. But someone who feels a deeper connection might lower their voice slightly and say, "Honestly, I was pretty nervous presenting that first slide today." That tiny moment of honesty is an intentional drop in defensive armor. It signals trust, and it subtly invites you to share a moment of vulnerability in return. Watch, too, for how they handle the presence of competition or outside focus. When someone likes you, their emotional composure undergoes brief, subtle tests whenever your attention shifts toward someone else. They may not display dramatic jealousy, but you will often notice a quiet change in their energy. They might suddenly become quieter, subtly interrupt the conversation to bring your focus back to them, or make a casual, probing comment later to gauge your relationship with that other person. Their reaction comes from a simple psychological truth. We naturally pay closer attention to anything that threatens something we value. The ultimate test before taking a step forward is observing reciprocity over time. True attraction never feels like a one-sided negotiation where you are constantly trying to convince someone to pay attention to you. It operates like a steady rhythm. You extend a small amount of focus, and they match it. You share a piece of information, and they offer one back. You suggest a simple idea, and they build on it. This balance creates a clear, undeniable momentum that both people can feel. When you look at human behavior through this lens, the anxiety of guessing completely disappears. You no longer need to analyze every individual word or wonder whether asking someone out will lead to an uncomfortable surprise. By paying attention to where their eyes go in a crowd, how they manage physical distance, whether they reach out when you step back, and how naturally they share their personal world, you gain absolute clarity. The evidence will tell you everything you need to know long before you ever ask a question.